Well, up next, as promised, is the return of Bridney Jordan. She is the proprietary brand, this title, Bridney, the proprietary brand's product and marketing manager, right? For Lexani, Lionheart, and Rolling Big Power tires. They're part of the TMCP network overall. You're well aware of that for all of you longtime listeners. Britney's personal background with the big OEMs is what we revealed a little bit in her first show, and today we will talk about where the bodies are buried. Britney, welcome back. Yes.
Thank you for having me again. Thanks for not scaring me away the first time. So appreciate the opportunity as always. And hello, listeners, again. Excited to chat with you today.
Well, we chat more than just in these interviews, but like the listeners only get what they get. So like,
Sure.
so as a very brief recap, you shared in the first episode, nice girl from Detroit ends up in Nebraska selling fleet tires on semi trucks.
Yeah.
Unique. Um, you ended up working at major household names that people would know very, very, very well.
Yes.
Um, what I'm a little unclear on is when you made the transition over to, so the parent company of all the tire brands is called Turbo Tires, but like Lexani, Lionheart, Rolling Big Power, that's your job. You're trying to make that a international powerhouse here. When did that transition actually occur, and why?
That's a good question. So I made the transition over to Turbo about 2.5 years ago now. It's been
Mm-hmm.
um, a number of reasons, just to be honest. Some personal things, just we added on to our family grew, so we wanted to position ourselves back to Michigan. That was one of the major reasons. But also just career wise, I think we have to be very open to the feeling of when it's time. When you've kind of exasperated all opportunities, you decided like, okay, I want more. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you're doing well in a position, not saying you're not doing well, but it's time for a little bit more growth. And I saw this opportunity when it became available to me as a good one because it pushed me to a zone I didn't know much about. I was in truck tires before, and now we're moving into passenger and light truck, which is more for consumers. So for business people moving from B2B to B2C, which is business to consumer, completely different audience, completely different needs. Marketing to that group way different than marketing to a business. A business is thinking about assets and return on investment. Consumers are looking at a cool sidewall and how much, right? So
Yeah.
just understanding like that difference. So it's pushed me in a very unique way. This is also not a larger corporate like functioning company. I want to be nice to corporations here. There's a lot of politics, and decision making is sometimes it takes its time. And so you may make a decision at a large corporation or company, and it may not come to fruition until sometimes 5 to 6 years later, just because of all the approvals and the hierarchy that's involved in a corporation. Not saying it's wrong, it's just different. At this company, I could go knock on, executive's door, have a conversation, maybe a matter of months to a year, we're there, right? And so I enjoy that freedom to act, if you will, or freedom to have impact, and someone being open to my suggestions and ideas, and it not taking a long time to like try it and see. Now I'm still responsible for it, but it feels good to like see the direct effect or impact quickly, because after you work so hard for something like a product launch or something like that.
How big is the company?
The
Like how many people?
company, you know what? Don't fact check me here. That's a good question. And I think now we're about probably between like two, I would say around 200 employees. We do have a very large distribution center in Los Angeles area. So we have a warehouse there. We have an office building there. Some of us, like myself, are remote. So I think we're roughly 200 employees. That sounds about right with
Okay.
everybody, drivers, warehouse.
So that is a big change going from B2B and a big company to B2C and not really not a small company, but a mid-sized company.
Mid-size. Yes.
And for what it's worth, I spent the first 10 years of my career as an engineer. And I always worked for major corporations. That was just kind of how the chips laid out. It
Mhm.
is very different when you go work for a small company, a private invested company, a family business.
Yes.
It's a different bag. You can make waves quickly. You can make mistakes quickly too. Um,
Fair.
but it's you have a lot more direct control.
Yes.
Okay, so now that we've got all that,
Mhm.
I do want some bodies buried stories here. So what we were starting to talk about last time is let's talk about this brand name. So if somebody sees a brand name on a tire, they assume it is the best tire for whatever they're shopping for. Um, Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But what do you say?
I think a lot of what's the best way to put this? What's the phrase they use? Something is reality. The like your it'll
Oh,
come to me.
perception is reality, or
Perception is reality, right? So however, excuse me, your brand is perceived, that's what people assume. Like just because I think I touched on this before, you go to a game and you see a billboard and there's this big tier one company, tire company mentioned, you assume, oh, like I'm at a Tigers game, I'm at a Lions game. If they can afford this small patch of turf and digging their name into it or adding their logo on my cup, oh, their product has got to be great. Or they just have marketing dollars that they're trying to
Mhm.
spend, so the EBITDA looks better, because they spent some of the funds, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
That's a very real reality. Like just because you see it advertised doesn't necessarily make it the best. I would argue that some of the better brands that really focus on consumers and what they like in their experience are probably well below that. These larger companies, particularly tire companies, are so I won't say enabled, but they have the opportunity to do that because of their large contracts with OEMs and things like that. So if you think about that for a second, if you're an OE tire and you're on a vehicle, you know that company is going to have this run. It's a contract. It's black and white. We're going to make this many cars. You have to provide this many tires within this time frame. So you've got to kind of, I don't want to call it a guarantee because COVID happened and it's like no guarantees, right? But you've got like at least something very solid or very solid that you can like depend on, saying we're going to sell this many tires and going to make this much money because it's in black and white.
Yeah.
Then you have the replacement side of the business, right? Where you're hoping that the consumer had a very good experience with the tire in the first life or the product in the first life. And now it's time to replace it. And because I had a good experience, we're going for it, right? When you don't have the OE pull and it's just a consumer walking in the door and pulling the product off the shelf and trying it and loving it and liking it, and then you get the pull behind it, to me that's the story. That's what branding we should focus on, like from a marketing perspective, is that type of experience, because you kind of got the product with the vehicle you purchased, so you didn't make a choice. I've made a specific choice in this case to choose your product or brand, and I like this so much that it carries through, right? And so back to your point about the fallacies, or the marketing dollars and stuff that's spent to make something look bigger than it's not. You're bigger because of the position you put yourself in with like an OEM. Like it was a natural pull. Now we got to kind of push if we're just like a replacement product, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think you had mentioned last time, yeah, any tire company may have strengths and weaknesses. Like they may make a great performance tire,
Mm-hmm.
and they also make a truck tire, and it has the cool logo on the side, but it's not the
Mm-hmm.
best truck
Yep.
tire. Um, do you have any examples of? I don't know if you want to name names or can, but are there certain brands out there that don't make a good truck tire?
That don't make a good truck tire. I'm gonna answer that with a real. I'm gonna answer it innocently. Okay. Take
Okay.
a look. Take a look at a manufacturer. I'm not going to name a name. I'm not going to go there because we love each other in the tire world. We're all close friends. It's a very small world.
Sure.
Take a look at a warranty, right? What is a manufacturer of a product or a tire? And this goes for anything, but we're talking about tires, right? How long do they say it will last? On the actual manufactured good, how long do they stand behind their product? Let's
Hmm.
just start there, right? If I'm willing to say 1 month, a year, 60 months. If you talk about truck tires, how many retreads, meaning my tire is so good that you can run it for the first life, put it through the retreading process, not to get technical, but basically removing the tread, making repairs, adding a new retread roll on top, cushion gum, all this fun stuff, put in a chamber, curing it, boom, new tire comes out. So a refurbished tire, essentially, I'm willing to stand behind that product for 3 times. There's some manufacturers that say 3. There's some
Mm-hmm.
manufacturers that say 2. There's some that say 1. There's some, Rob, if you go online, you couldn't find their warranty policy anywhere online on purpose because they're not willing to stand behind it, right? And so those sorts of things, like that as a consumer, if you're looking and trying to figure it out, like how do I pick the best product? Take a look at a very basic thing, which is the warranty policy, and say, hey, we're willing to stand behind our product for this long of a time, with exceptions, of course, no abuse, no obvious using it in the wrong applications. Like I'm doing the right thing as a vehicle owner, but if I follow those things, I should get good life out of my product. That's a real good way to see how much a company really stands behind what they produce and how strong it is of a guarantee they're willing to give you, with the exceptions removed, of course.
Okay. How about this one? So, and I'll give you a direct example, and I won't name the tire name, but I'll name the vehicle name, and if anybody wants to Google it, they'll figure it out.
Okay.
In 2022, we needed a new van, and this was COVID times.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find I've never bought a new car in my life until then. I couldn't find a good used one that wasn't crazy money, so I ended up buying a new one because our local dealer just didn't mark things up.
Interest rates were great too during that time for a new vehicle.
It was neat to have a new vehicle. It
Mhm.
sucked the first scratch I put in it, which was quick. But it became new. Everything's new, including the tires. The tires said 60,000 miles on the sidewall. I read it. They were gone at 30. 100% shot. I talked to a few friends. They all had the same problem. I talked to friends that didn't buy a Toyota Sienna at all. They bought something else. They were all exactly half, for the most part, across the board. For people like us that bought something to drive year round, and in our case, in all 4 seasons, the first place we noticed it was obviously that this is bad is winter. First snowfall, we took a corner and it slid. And, if you're driving a front wheel drive minivan, it's not supposed to slide. So why was that? Now this is I'll give you more context. This is a hybrid vehicle. It's built to hit a mileage target. From the factory, that was the big selling point. This thing's going to get 36 city, 36 highway. It never did. It got 33 at best, on one of those. But why is it that a lot of OE tires seem to last half the advertised life?
That's a loaded question.
Good.
So OE tires and replacement tires. Okay, let's just talk about that. There are differences at a manufacturing level between how they're made.
Okay.
I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna say at a manufacturing level, there can be differences between how an OE tire designed to go to an OEM versus a replacement tire are manufactured. The goal as any manufacturer of a tire, if you're going to go for an OE market, is to hit the target that the OE provides, whether that be fuel efficiency, mileage, whatever the target is. There's normally a combination of fuel efficiency, mileage, and then of course safety, right? Because we're dealing with consumers, like in your case.
Yeah.
Then you go shop it, right? They're like, hey, I need a tire. This is the production year, calendar year, and then they're comparing them, right? So as a manufacturer, they kind of go, well, we need to have the best in class this. And you'll hear me probably say a bunch of times this pyramid, right? Where you're like fuel efficiency is at one point, mileage is at another point, and durability, which is kind of what you're saying, is at the other. As
Mm-hmm.
you kind of move in each direction of that like triangle, you're moving away from the other one. So for example, the more fuel efficient, or now we're talking about a hybrid EV, the more extended range efficient you get, the durability and the mileage tends to be sacrificed. Or the opposite end, you want it to be more durable and you want it to give you greater mileage, you may have to use a compound that's not as fuel efficient. It's a very difficult task to get the perfect balance between those two performative characteristics. Okay. And so when you go into this type of situation with an OEM, you want the best of the best of the best, but you're giving your best case scenario. So if mileage is the number one goal and fuel efficiency is not a factor, I can give you, would you say, 60K. But at the same time, if you want fuel efficiency as your focus, hey, I gave you, remember I said at least, would you say 30 miles to the gallon or whatever it was?
36, yeah.
36. I gave you that, and that was what you got. But you know, you can't have both. It's kind of like a I don't want to say two promises at the same time type of a deal, but I think the argument will always be, I gave you one, you can't have both type of a thing. And that's just because of the nature of, I feel like any engineer will tell you that as you move in one direction, something is compromised, right? So as long as the consumer, I feel like gets one of those benefits that was promised, I feel like, you know, they would feel like they did their job, mission accomplished. Oh, I didn't say I was going to give you both. I said 60,000 miles, and I said this. Well, you got that, you know. I don't think anywhere in writing it says I'm going to guarantee you both. It just says you could get up to 60, up to, like, fine print. If you have any attorneys, they'll say that, or allegedly, right? And then on the other side, give you up to this many miles per gallon. Never exactly promising both at this, like a guarantee for both, but one or the other type of a thing. And that's like the fine print or the catch, if you will, I think, when you're dealing with OE tires, if that makes sense.
It does. And, you know, in this case, I think it's pretty obvious that the tire was built to maximize the fuel economy. That was the selling point of
Absolutely.
that van.
Why would you pick it? Why wouldn't you pick it? Like, the OEM wants to be able to say at the end of the day, my car has the best fuel efficiency of any vehicle out there. That's the car manufacturer's desire. So if your tire can help them get there, you know, with a few extra points to their benefit for fuel efficiency, oh yeah, I want that one, because now I can say I'm best in class for fuel efficiency because of this engine, this tire, and, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And, you know, quite honestly, I didn't know you then. So when I replaced them with a different brand. And I said, this time I want 60,000 miles out of this set of tires, because I priced the OEM tire versus something else. They were the same number. And I knew, like, I'm not paying $1,200 or whatever it was for another 30,000 Z. No. I need 60,000 miles out of this now. So that's what I chose to do. And I suppose if I went and did the math, the fuel economy probably got slightly worse. That would be fair that it did, you know, but it also doesn't slide in the winter anymore. And that's good, right? And I've already got 44,000 miles out of it with plenty to go. So I'm as a consumer, I'm happy. Let's talk about the price difference between tires, though. So if you're shopping for a replacement tire, and that's what you offer, replacement tires. Like, when you look at two tires side by side, like any of your brands versus anybody else's brands, somebody may, like, they'd be shopping for a size that the stats are basically the same, and one of them's $300 and one of them's $180.
Sure.
Where's the money go? Like, why is that? I mean, I am an engineer, and I always assume there's a very good reason for that. It's not just marketing spin, but I frankly don't know what the real reason is. Why is it?
It's another very loaded question, because now we're talking about like a pricing model, right? Let's talk about a few things. Where's the tire made? Okay, so let's talk about maybe a US based tire manufacturer versus something that was maybe overseas somewhere. Right off the bat, we've got a very significant cost difference, overhead difference between a building that's in, say, Kentucky versus a building that's in, you know, Malaysia. Just off of that. So there's a big cost there. Labor costs in maybe the States versus one of the, you know, another country, as I mentioned before. Now, because you're producing outside of the U.S. and we're talking about a consumed good in the U.S., now I do have a cost of shipping so that's a factor as well. And how is it being distributed, right? Is it being wholesaled, right? Because a wholesale tire that then goes to an end user is going to be a lot different than maybe a brand that is more corporate and they have their own stores. Like Goodyear, I'll just throw Goodyear out there. Goodyear has their own company store, so they make them at their plant and they ship them right to their store. So I've cut out the middleman in that case. So there's a savings to that. I think all those factors need to be considered with pricing. And I think we would be remiss not to say that, of course, if I'm a bigger brand, I think like just with any other good and I'm highly recognizable, I don't want to say earn the right to charge more, but people are more, again, perception is reality. I'm perceiving this brand to be bigger than what it is. Oh, it's a XX brand. It's worth more. Because again, they've got that billboard up at the Tigers game, right? So then it's like, oh, I'm more willing to pay for that. But if I've never heard of it, I feel like people are a bit more skeptical, like, whoa, I don't know anything about, if my brand, for example, I've never heard of Lionheart before. I'm a little bit more hesitant because my perception is unique, is different. I don't know it to pay for that. So I'm not as willing to pay for it. So I think you got a little bit of hard fact, like, supply chain costs built into it, as with the examples I gave initially with import, exported, where it's produced, cost of goods, right? But also the willingness to pay a certain price from the consumer. I mean, any business is going to capitalize on that as well, just because of the value behind their name. There is a value to having a larger name brand. There just is. Some people just see it and like, I trust that brand. I identify with that brand. I'm going to buy it no matter how much it costs. Just because, in your example, you had a good experience with the product. If you had to go back in and buy another set of tires, you probably wouldn't even second guess. You say, oh yeah, these were great. I don't care. I want that.
Look, we are red, white, and blue here, certainly, but it's a global economy. I have no idea where most of the things that I buy are really from. Much less, I might buy something that says made in USA, but all the materials came from somewhere else. I don't know. Does it matter where tires are made right now from a quality perspective?
Not really. The technology that has been developed and implemented in some of these. So, okay, we talked about where I used to work before, US based plant at that time. They still have plants all over the country, actually, or all over the world, actually. And so we had some tire lines at that place that were, majority of the lines were made maybe in the US plant, but a few odd sizes or unique sizes that didn't run as frequently. We didn't have the machinery maybe at that plant, so we produced the tire at another plant. Same brand, same marketing line, but because we didn't have the equipment to produce it here, we had to produce it at this other plant because that was their specialty. So now it's like, wait a minute, this is the same exact brand, the same exact marketing line, and I could have two different tires that are produced at two different plants for this organization.
In two different countries.
Two different countries. That's a very real and it happens. I'll just say that. And then just to your other point, other countries now, I'm going to speak specifically to like Asian companies, just to be honest, like that's where a lot of tires are manufactured. Okay. Their technology capabilities have improved astronomically since the 70s and 80s. Okay. So before we had that technology here, I would honestly make the argument that in about, let's call it 30, 50 years. Well, when will I retire? Okay. After I retire. So you can't quote me. Sometime after I retire, the technology and the development and advances that they've made in some of these plants overseas, I would argue may outperform what we have here domestically. I really do think, because of the way they're growing, changing, and moving. So the tire that you bought in 1980 from China is not the same tire you're buying in 2026 from Asia. They're advancing some of the features, benefits, the machinery that's used. There's only so many places that make tire machines. There's only so many places that you can get carbon black, which is a raw ingredient needed to make, tires and things comes from. So after a while, the playing field gets to be pretty level. And then it's real hard if that tire that you said was foreign before is performing just as well, if not better, than the domestically produced product. And so while there's some huge benefits to obviously supporting domestic production and, domestic brands for, a number of different reasons, the technology and the advancements that have been made overseas they've really come a long way. So you can't just assume just because it's not made in the US that it's not a good product anymore. That's simply not true, and I stand behind that.
Yeah, National Parts Depot has been our title sponsor for years, and Rick Schmidt there will tell you all day long. The Taiwanese sheet metal that he's buying is a restoration grade A quality. He can't get it here better. And as a result, he chooses not to, because what he's getting there is not just restoration quality, but for fit and fitment, but material quality itself and the quality of the stamping that's making it. It's there. It just is. Now, it's still a free market. So if we want to find a way to compete, do it,
Absolutely.
But that's just how it is. Now, in your case, you chose to take this job and you want to make these three brands. Do you want Lionheart, Lexani, Rolling? Do you want these to be household names? Like, what is your goal? What do you want to be most proud of in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years with these brands, what do I want to be most proud of? I want to be proud of the fact that whatever we said is accurate. I know that sounds so simple and so, like, if we say we make a tire that's an all-weather tire that will give you 70,000 miles as a consumer, and we stand behind the road hazard for, 2 years or 30 seconds, whichever comes first, I want consumers to be able to say that's still valid. They didn't cop out. They didn't, hide behind, the curtain and like the whiz and pretend to be something where no, they said they would do it and they did it. And the tires lasted, and I bought them again. Like that's what we want. I don't even know that we necessarily want to break into the OE market. There's a lot that comes with that. There's a lot of certification, a lot more politics. Quite frankly, I don't know if I would still be here if we go that direction, because there's a whole nother level of stress that comes with OEMs. But I think we just want to be that brand that's dependable, that's reliable, that gives your vehicle that you've invested, especially for you guys and girls out there that are, I just saw them at this road show, this car show, tens of thousands of dollars you're putting into this vehicle that you put your heart, blood, sweat, and tears into. We want to be that rubber underneath that you're proud to say you stand behind. That's what we want. We don't want, I don't think anything more. Accolades are great, rewards and awards that are on Modern Tire Dealer and stuff. Fabulous. We love those things. Like, we would appreciate them, but we just want to be that brand, or those brands that consumers say what they said they were going to do, they did it, or they done it, depending on if you're in the South. They done it. That's what we want.
We have a wide listening audience, but yeah, we do have a pretty good swath of people in the South.
What's up to all my Southerners? Hey guys.
Yes. Final question here, and if your mom were shopping for tires, what would you tell her to do? The number one thing, Mom, just do this.
She does need tires now, actually.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, well.
Well, she said she needed tires, and I was like, do you need tires? Like, she's just like that. But they've been on there a while. I'm like, good. That means the ones we put on there work.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing? I can't do three things, just one thing?
I guess you can do three, but, here's why I usually buy tires. Because they're bald. I grew up in the use it till it's dead mentality. We got new shoes for school in August, and that's it. You don't get new shoes until next August. Mm-hmm. And I don't even need to live that way anymore, but I now choose to. Yeah. But maybe I shouldn't be doing that. What would you tell, I guess, me? Like, should I be waiting until they're bald? Because I do. When should I do it?
From a timing perspective, let's say that we have little tread left. Okay, let's say we are 80% worn, but it's like the fall, or no, maybe fall, maybe not fall, maybe springtime. And I'd say, okay, we're not heading into winter weather soon, Robert. Like you could, if you needed to push it for the budget, to get through racing season with Dallas, as an example, like, all right,
Sure.
you could probably push it. But if, it would be January and we haven't gotten our first heavy snow yet and it's around the corner, no, I don't. Safety is a priority for me. As a person dealing with tires, I need to make sure you have some good rubber on the road. There are certain
Mhm.
details in the tire that are more prominent in the first bit of wear versus the latter part of wear. Normally, those traction elements, as the tire starts to wear, they start to fade in that final part because the not to get too technical. I'm not an engineer, y'all. Don't quote me, but cap base and cap the cap compound on the top and the base compound sometimes are different. The base carries a characteristic to kind of help us with some things, maybe like fuel efficiency, keeping the tire cool, removing like heat as a variable. So it has properties that are related to the integrity of the tire and the casing, as opposed to the part that touches the road that speaks more to the functionality and what it was designed for. It was designed for performance, traction, grip, winter, mud, whatever it was designed for. And so, depending on where we're at in the life of that tread, it could be more critical depending on things like time of year. How hot is it outside for my southern folks, since we're playing with them a little bit? Is it going to be a 120-degree summer in Texas? If it is, heat is the number one enemy of a tire. If you are bald, sir or ma'am, it's time to replace those tires because we don't want the tire to heat up, right? And then we're at the point,
Mhm.
the point where it's most warm. We need to have the maximum performance capabilities that it was built and designed for to be in place. And so that's how I answer it. I don't want you to run your tires till they're bald. They were not designed for that. We need to pull them at a respectable tread depth. I would say once we get to be about 75 to 80% warm, we need to make a decision within a month of what we're going to do for our next tire purchase. I think that's a good generic, like, rule of thumb. But we don't want to run to their bald. Um, every year is also different. So if you start a new job, and you don't realize that extra 30 miles one way you put on is wearing your tires out more quickly. Just simple things like that you don't
Mhm.
consider in the wear of your tires because you said, "Oh, I bought a new pair of shoes in August." Well, last year in August you walked to school. This year you had to drive. So, all those kind of variables, they matter.
Th- you're good at this. Um,
I mean,
that's
I
a
know
that's a,
a little bit
that's a
about a little bit.
genuinely solid answer. Um, well. Speaking of Dallas, all three brands sponsored, as did SimpleTire.com. So we have a very unique relationship. So Lexani, which is the big tire brand, that's that be rolling on your 22s and your Lambos and all that. We have Lionheart, which covers everything. We have Rolling Big Power, which is truck. All those brands, and SimpleTire.com, which is where you buy them, sponsored Dallas throughout his summer racing season. And I will tell you, there was a lot of pride when he was walking around with that on his suit, because he had like, it sounds silly to say this, but he had real companies on his suit, like not his dad, like, and at this level, it shows something, and that made him feel good, made me feel good, made us all feel good, and then he got to throw him on his race car. I mean, it looked legit. Um, None of these brands are sanctioned on our racing series, but I would be curious to talk to you about that one because the movie Days of Thunder is accurate. Tires win a race, like they do.
Now, Cole, there is something else. Tires is what wins a race.
And when they cook off, they don't. You can lose it. You can wreck anything just due to lack of tires. So I'm thanking you publicly for that. Um, and I asked you to comment on photos that we're doing, and you were happy to do that. Like, gave me good feedback. Um, Very appreciated. SimpleTire.com isn't the only place people can buy these tires, but it is how we're best partnered here. and they have a promo deal. And I didn't know this until we started recording here. If you go to simpletire.com and you purchased, it's got to be 4 tires or I assume more, but 4 tires. Use the code Turbo15. What does Turbo15 get you? What does that do?
15. Yes, thank you. And I just want to reciprocate. We're excited to partner with you guys. We're excited to stand behind Dallas and all the miles that Dad is flying and driving and putting behind him in this venture. We're excited about that, and we're excited about the things he's doing. To be quite frank, so thank you for the opportunity to even be on his person, on his suit as he's competing. But because we're so excited, about this partnership with the Muscle Car Place and all the things that are happening in this space that you have, we want to reach out and, give our tires a try. So if you order 4 tires from us in either brand, Lexani, Lionheart, or Rolling Big Power tires on simpletire.com, use the promo code Turbo15, and that'll get you 15% off your purchase. And we're not going to yank it in 24 hours or 48. Nope. We're going to have this promotion go all the way through December 1st. So if you're hearing this podcast today, great. If it's November, hurry up. You got a little bit of time left. But yeah, 15% off as long as you buy for any of our 3 brands, just because we're so excited about this partnership. We're excited about, what we've done together. And we want, consumers to give us a shot, give us a chance. If you never heard about our brand, that would be a great way to start and try and see if, we kind of done what we said we was going to do, as I mentioned before.
All right.
I love Southern people. I can't wait. I'm going on vacation down south shortly, and I'm so excited.
I do too. I have realized that a lot of my car friends are from the South. It's just worked out that way. But I have
good people.
They're very good people, and I have become very fond of hush puppies now that we spent so much time in the South. Like, man, they are terrific. Why don't we have them everywhere? They're so good.
Grits or oatmeal, Rob? Grits or oatmeal?
I do like grits.
Which do you like better, grits or oatmeal? They say.
Oh, between the two?
Yeah, you have to pick one.
Oh, I think they're pretty different. Have you had cream of wheat?
I have, but that's not the question.
Okay. Between the two, I guess I would choose oatmeal. But I thought grits were more like, they taste to me, I know they're corn, but they taste exactly like cream of wheat to me.
They're similar. They're similar texture, yeah.
So I always think like oatmeal is like, I don't even put it in the same category. Like I wouldn't, so if you go to like a Waffle House, and you get
You've been to Waffle House, Robert?
I have.
Did you have your bulletproof vest on and like a shield so when the fight breaks out, you can kind of, guard yourself? No?
I sat at the counter. Like, it was great. I got eggs, and like they said, do you want cheese on the grits? And I thought I knew what grits were, and I said, sure. And it was like a slice of like Kraft cheese, or like a single.
Processed American cheese. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's good. I'm a fan. Yeah. But if they'd have put a piece of cheese on oatmeal,
no,
I don't know what I would do with that.
See, you'll start an argument. In my community specifically, I'm gonna just let that my community and let you take it however you want to take it. Okay. There's like sugar on grits, and there's like salt in grits, like a savory. So cheese, salt, pepper. People like their grits that way. That is how it's supposed to be eaten. I said it. That's how I like mine. But there are some people that put sugar and butter in grits that would be more on that cream of wheat, oatmeal side, that prefer it like sweet versus savory. I feel like those people are serial killers and they should not be trusted because it's weird. It's a weird taste to put sugar in grits, but people like it.
Some people do it. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what I ate. Whatever was on the plate is what I.
It sounds like grits. It sounds like cheesy grits, which is delicious. So the reason I asked is because most people up north prefer oatmeal, but people down south prefer the grits, like typically.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I think they're both. I don't know. They seem very different to me.
They are.
It's
very different. Oats versus the cornmeal, whatever. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Nothing to do with tires.
Nothing at all, but good to know. All right, Britney, thank you. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you for being okay with doing this.
Of course.
We're going to keep doing this. Every quarter, you're going to come back and drop some bombs. How can people find more about Lexani, Lionheart, Rolling Big Power, and Simple Tire?
Anytime you want to get our tires, purchase them. We love our partner, simpletire.com. Just visit, go to the brand section, choose Lexani, Lionheart, or Rolling Big Power. You want to follow us for sure on social media, or if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, each brand page has its own page. It's just www.rbptires.com, www.lexanitires.com, www.surprise lionhearttires.com. So you can go there. At the bottom it says subscribe to our e-newsletter. We update you with everything going on from new products to customer testimonials. We do a lot of customer testimonials. We have a huge ambassador program that is growing. So these are real consumers who actually use our tires to tell us how they like them, and we have interviewed. So you can check that out. We do event recaps. We've been very busy this year, very busy doing events all over the place. We just did SPOCOM. SEMA is coming up. We just did the Enthusiast Showcase in Joliet, Illinois, with our partner up there. So we're busy. We're busy on social media. So follow us on Instagram, same handles at Lexani Tires, at RBP Tires, at Lionheart Tires. And then check us out on YouTube. We've got a lot of videos, some product focused videos if you want to learn more about them. But everything is really based on our websites, and you can kind of follow all the social media from there. So, that's how you follow us.
Maybe we should do the next one at SEMA.
Ooh, we will be there. We will have an outdoor booth with some fun little toys sitting there with some tires on. So that would be cool.
Let's think about that. That might work out great. All right. Thank you, Bridney. We'll catch you later.
Thank you, Rob. Have a great one. Thank you.
You too.